Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Nikki.
Hi. And if you are new here, this is a podcast where Kev and I sit down and have a chat about literally anything that's interesting to us. So if you don't enjoy what we talk about this episode, please submit a message to us on literally any platform we're on, and we'll talk about it. So that's our little plug. We're going to keep talking about whatever nonsense we want to talk about, unless you submit anything. So that's what we do here.
So Nick, by the way, hold on. I'm just gonna. I'm not ready. Insufficient. I started to open my water because I was not paying attention to what's going on. I'm gonna start with shout outs before I ask you how your week was because I need to do that first. Hold on. I gotta get the sound effect. Hold on. Okay, so we're gonna start with shout outs because my first shout out is that happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
I messed up and calculated things wrong because we haven't recorded in a couple weeks because you went to a convention last weekend, kind of for your birthday, for Christmas type thing, whatever. And I miscalculated when the last time we recorded and didn't realize that we were actually going to be recording on your birthday. So
I know. That's why I was like, when you said happy birthday like 3 weeks ago, I was like, okay. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, so
it's all good. I appreciate the sentiment.
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
Again. Actually on your birthday this time. We did have a couple other shout outs. I had one other shout out this week, and it was from a couple of weeks ago, actually, from one of our shorts a couple of weeks ago, when your brother Nathan was on. It was about the great stupidity. Mr. Trauma 101 commented on that short. So thank you for the comment. I will say this was, again, not me, but this is what the comment is. It says, advances in technology and science were lost during the Holy Crusades. So yes, there was a great stupefying, and the Christians are to blame. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yes, we don't talk about religion.
Yeah, we don't do politics.
Podcast, but that is a very funny comment.
So, I mean,
we have no comment. Well, I have some shout outs too. Well, first of all, thank you for commenting at all. Because we don't get a lot of comments. And I love, no matter what the comment is, even if it's like, you guys suck. I'm like, oh my God, someone commented.
Yeah. We may not say it on, no, we might say it because we might call you out on air if you
I think we have.
If we suck.
Because someone said we were bad at this. And then I think we said, well, our title is literally insufficient because we're just talking to each other.
Yeah.
So no, we definitely read all comments.
Yeah.
Anyways, my first shout out has absolutely nothing to do with the podcast.
Okay.
My first shout out is to Starbucks. So, Kev, this is my free birthday drink, which I love.
It's matcha, isn't
okay,
it?
So yes, it's matcha. Okay. But they brought back their lavender cold foam for the spring.
Okay.
Oh my God. It's like so good. I got it today with my free birthday drink. I didn't know they had brought it back, and I think I was the happiest I've been in like an extremely long time. So nice. That's my first shout out. I really try so hard to like shop local, eat local, drink local, but Starbucks just has their claws in me.
Okay.
Anything else I will do small business, but I just can't. Anyways, my second shout out is to everyone that was at Paracon, because it was the first, which is our topic for today, and we'll talk about it more in a little bit, but it was the first one. So it was the inaugural Paracon in Kansas City, and it was so well done. The speakers were great, and I'll talk about some of them here in a little bit, but I can't remember all of the organizers, but I know Jesse at Belvoir Winery, who I don't know personally, but I've been there so many times and done investigations and just also been to just the winery. And he's always running around doing stuff, and he's very involved in the community.
Nice.
But I'll talk a little bit more about the other speakers too. It was just so well done, and I'm so excited. They announced one for next year that it's going to come back because it went really well. So they're going to make it a thing.
An annual thing? Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it
Yeah.
at? Where did
It was at Ameristar, Kansas City.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was good.
That makes sense.
It was definitely a good arena for it because they had, it's not like when you're in a convention center and there's nothing else to do, like in between speakers. Also, if Casey didn't want to listen to a speaker, he could go gamble or go eat or whatever. I could stay and listen.
Because I knew,
so it's not like you were trapped.
I knew you texted me and said something about going to the casino, and that makes a little more sense now of why he
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think he had $40 because like I'm in finance. We don't gamble. I don't believe in it. Except for like funsies.
Yeah.
And so he had $40 and he lost that $40 in like 3 minutes and came back to the speaker and was like so sad.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, so that was my shout out. Just that it was so well run, and
Nice.
we'll talk more about it, but they're going to bring it back next year and I'm so excited.
Cool. Well, I may have to join you next year then, if it's because that does sound like fun. Like
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what you did.
That's my shout outs.
Last week, Paracon. I didn't do anything, and I will take it back to a couple weeks ago, a couple podcast episodes ago. We talked about how I don't have a life. Before we get into your experience with Paracon, we talked about how I don't have a life. So I boiled an egg. I boiled 2 eggs, actually.
Oh my God, you tested that theory?
I tested it. I tested the hell out of that theory, by the way. So, 32 minutes to boil an egg. And I'll tell you, it was a pain in the ass.
Did it work?
I really couldn't tell that much of a difference. I'll put up a picture
so
you guys can see side by side because they look almost exactly the same. It's still separated, so it still was like looked almost like a normal, what I would consider a normal boiled egg. The yolk was a little softer than than what I usually have with a boiled egg, how mine usually are when I cook them. But I also overcook my boiled eggs. I usually boil them for like 10 or 15 minutes. So, it's like a solid thing. And this time I boiled them kind of like, I boiled one for like 7-8 minutes just in boiling water. And then I did one, the 2 minutes thing, 2 minutes in, 2 minutes out.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much almost exactly the same. Like, wasn't hardly any difference.
I wonder if it's like you also have to have like a specific kind of egg. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe there's differences.
I have no idea. I will say that 2 minutes is not very much time when you're doing, like, 2 minutes when you're sitting there watching something seems like forever. But 2 minutes when you're, like, trying to get up and do, like, because I was trying to do laundry and do,
multitask.
I was trying to, like, do laundry or, like, do other things at the same time, so I'm trying to get other things done. And 2 minutes when you're trying to do that is not very long, because I set a timer every time for 2 minutes, because I'm like, okay, well, let's make sure we do this right. And I'd be doing in the middle of something and I'd hear, dee-dee-dee-dee, I'm like, oh, I go back in there, put it back in the boiling water, take it back out of the boiling water, put it back in the boiling water. Yeah, so it wasn't worth it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Science is wrong in this instance.
Yeah.
In this instance.
I mean, I won't be doing that anyway since I found out that I'm allergic to eggs. But
yeah.
You know what so on the topic of food, I'm very excited for us to do another food box. I think it's in 2 weeks. I don't think it's next week, but the week after. It's not eggs. It's going to be Japanese food, snacks and candy. And I'm so excited.
I haven't opened the box yet, but it's in the pantry over here, and I'm excited. I'm excited to try it and see what's in it, because the UK one was fun, so I'm excited to try this one, and I'm excited to try several other ones, however many I can find that we can do.
Agreed. Clearly we love food on this podcast, so I'm excited to try that. I will not be trying the boiled egg though.
I mean, again,
I don't have an EpiPen or the capacity to want to throw up all day. So.
No, I don't blame you. But again, it wasn't worth it. Like, it was, it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Just boil an egg normally. Just put it in the water and let it boil for 10 minutes or whatever. It'd be fine. Like it was, no, don't do what I did. I don't have a life again. I was bored. Didn't have a life.
It's a
don't do
science.
that.
You're basically a scientist. Oh, I have another shout out. My Aunt Cindy is calling me. Aunt Cindy, if you see this, I will call you back later
Hi, Aunt
in the
Cindy.
future or in the past.
Hi, Aunt Cindy. Well, you'll be calling her in the future.
Well, no, I'll be calling her back later tonight, but this episode won't hit until the future, so it'll be the past, right? I don't know. Anyways,
I guess that's true. I don't know. Time
we're
is time is
we're
soup.
really good at this.
Time is soup.
Um,
Anyway, how was Paracon? You said it was
okay,
fun.
it was so good.
Good.
Yes. Are we ready for our main topic? Did you have any other shout outs or
No,
anything
I don't think so.
from your week?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
besides
do have
you're a scientist.
I'm a scientist. I do have a question for you that we'll get to at the end. It's another random thing that I saw today, but we'll go to that at the
Okay.
end. So
Good. I have a random fun fact at the end
Okay.
for today that has absolutely nothing to do with Paracon. So
Okay, that
we'll
works
hit
too.
the randomness at the
Yeah.
end again. Okay, so Paracon.
Mhm.
Basically, to explain it, it's like Comic-Con, it's like any other, conference, but for like paranormal, true crime, just the abnormal fringes of society type things. Um, it was so awesome. So it was 2 days. The conference was 2 days, but before the conference, they had an extra, you could buy a ticket to a paranormal investigation too. So that's what we started with. That was at Belvoir Winery in Lee Summit. So that was part of my shout out. They are in Liberty. Not only is it an amazing winery and event venue, and they have weddings and things like that. It's an inn. Um, it was in the past um, an Oddfellows home. So the Secret Society Oddfellows, the Independent Order of Oddfellows, which is still active today. I did not know that.
Hmm.
But they used to have a schoolhouse, an orphanage, an old folks home. They were very charitable, so their purpose was to basically give back and make the world a better place. They were like a secret society. They had all their rights and secrets and everything like that, but their purpose was to like make a better community. So the orphanage is probably like the most well known. If you like know Belvoir Winery, know its history, most people think of the orphanage. Um, so that's kind of the history. They still have a skeleton of one of the Oddfellows. Now it's probably not an Oddfellow from this actual location, from my understanding. How it works is and I don't have any tabs open on this. I'm just spouting off from the memory of all the times I've been there. So if I get something wrong, sorry, I'm insufficient. But from my understanding of the secret society, um, Oddfellows, if they were like in some sort of respected position, or I don't know really what the qualifications were, but they could donate their skeleton to stay with an Oddfellows organization.
Hmm.
So Belvoir Winery has one because they have like a little mini museum almost. There's like a room with different Oddfellows exhibits and things. Um, and if you donated your skeleton to the Oddfellows, you became known as George. So the skeleton's name is George, but not because this human's name was George.
All the skeletons.
From what
are
I
George.
understand, it's anyone who was an Oddfellow who donated their skeleton was named George.
All skeletons are George. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's something about like, I don't know, the brotherhood and I don't know. I was in a service sorority, but it was definitely not a secret society.
Yeah.
So we're not like out here donating skeletons or anything. So I don't claim to fully understand. But the reason I bring up George
is
this paranormal investigation, we kind of rotated around in groups. There were different celebrities. So Adam Berry, Juwan Mass, Richard Estep. I forget who else was there. Sorry. I'll have to like post about it. But anyways, we were separated into groups and we kind of rotated throughout different parts of the property because it's a massive property. So our first stop was the cemetery. Then we came back inside to like the ballroom. Then we went back out to like a bunker. And then we came back in and ended with George, the skeleton.
Okay.
So not much happened when we were in the cemetery ballroom and the bunker. It just, I love hearing stories and learning about the history of the
Yeah.
place and everything. So it's cool in that sense. Um, but when we got to George, things got very interesting.
Did he
So
wave?
he talked to us.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Do you remember when we went to the penitentiary
Mm-hmm.
and did EVP, like voice recorders?
Mm-hmm.
I think we did that there. Pretty sure we did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very straightforward. Like there were other things we did. We did like the Estes method where one person has headphones and you
Yep.
listen and then the other person
With the spirit
asks
box. Yep.
questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one we were just simply doing EVP voice recordings. So we were all sitting like in a circle around George was in his coffin and we were asking questions like and we were the last group of the night. Apparently they hadn't had much like activity answers until like the very last group when it was Adam Berry who is on TV on Kindred Spirits is a really interesting paranormal investigator, but he was leading this last group. And he said, you know, this is our last group. We'll be out of your hair after this. If there's anything you want to say, though, you have to say it now because we're leaving after this. And so we got a couple answers. So George the Skeleton, we were asking questions about like him and the Oddfellows.
Mm-hmm.
So we had asked like, um, did you hold like a position of respect or authority? Is that why you got to donate your skeleton? And the voice recordings, it was like a loud, like, yes. And it was none of us talking.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of, I will give the caveat that I do not believe in everything.
Yeah.
Like when you watch TV and they're like, oh my God, the demon said this. I'm like, no. And I don't believe in a lot of things. But this, when like no one else in the room is talking, it's
Yeah.
not like a chair moving. It's like a yes. That was interesting. And then we asked a couple more questions with no answer. And then we asked, what do you miss most from your human lifetime? And the response said, my brothers. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then we asked, did you have a family? Like, did you have a wife and kids? And it said no. And then we had asked, do you want to move back downstairs? Because usually where they hold George the Skeleton is on the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
But for this investigation, just to make the groups navigating easier, they brought him up to like the second floor, which is like a event space type of thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Adam asked if he wanted to move back downstairs and he said yes. So Adam actually texted the owner of the winery and was like, hey, George wants to go back downstairs after this. But anyways, it was just fascinating because you can tell when something is like a chair moving or someone in the group had said something because we'll tag it, like say, oh, that was someone talking.
Yeah.
So when we go back and review things, it's like you don't mistake that for something. But when you get those like clear, concise, very relevant answers to the questions you're answering, it's like so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is.
It's very cool. So when we went to the penitentiary, you and I and Steve,
Mm-hmm.
what was your favorite like method of investigating this? Because you got like the voice recordings, you have the Estes method with the headphones. You of course have like REM pods and things where like it's a light up thing and like if something's near it, it'll go off. Like what is your favorite or most interesting like investigative method? Or because I know you're not like me and like obsessed with these things. If we go back, what do you want to do when we go back?
I don't necessarily have any particular like thing that I want to
Because you're
do.
like, this bee is crazy.
I mean, a little bit. You know, like I mean, I don't have a problem with any of them. I always
Hmm.
I'm whenever you tell me to ask questions and stuff like that, I'm just
Yeah.
like I have no flipping idea what to do because I don't
I know. I remember like I put the
really.
headphones in
Yeah,
and I was like, ask questions. And then I was like, well, what did you ask? And you were like, I don't know. I asked if anyone has a name or
yeah.
something
Like
like that.
I don't really know what to. I don't really know what to say right now. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking. I'm supposedly talking to the air or a dead person. Like I don't really know what I'm talking. I don't. What don't I don't
Yeah.
have anybody to have a conversation with. Like I mean,
Hmm.
you know, I sometimes have a hard time having a conversation with a normal person, let alone a dead person or somebody who's not there. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next point. So one of the speakers, Amy Bruni, and she's like one of my favorites. She is also on Kindred Spirits. She was on and Ghost Hunters, I think. Um, but has always like been involved with the paranormal. She grew up in a haunted home and has a whole really cool backstory. But her presentation was because she was one of the speakers. She wasn't at the investigation. She was just one of the speakers on the
Hmm.
second day. Her whole presentation was like kind of like a Q&A, but she also presented on a couple different things. But it was focused on like being respectful because a lot of things nowadays are like if you get a voice recording, people are like, "Oh my God, it's a negative spirit, it's a demon, like this is so bad." When in reality, it's probably like just some dude or some woman who's like, "Oh, hi."
Yeah.
And so her whole thing was like, I mean, in theory, of course, we don't know 100% for sure. Even she said, like, we don't know 100%. But what I do and how I, do this is I'm talking to people who were on our plane of existence at one point as humans, and they deserve like just a natural conversation.
Yeah.
And if they're here, there might be something that they need help with, or they still want to say something to someone. And that's kind of the premise of Kindred Spirits too. Their TV show is figuring out why the whys instead
Hmm.
of just like, oh my God, this ghost set off a light bulb, cool, and now we leave. It's like, what's the actual why?
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Why are
But
you still
one
here?
of her,
Yeah.
mhm, yeah, exactly. One of her premises is like these were humans on our plane of existence at one point,
Yeah.
and you should just be like conversing with them like normal. Just ask questions. Don't be like so performative. Um, which I get why people on TV are performative because it's TV.
Yeah.
It's for views. I get it. But if it's just like you yourself going out to do something, it's just having a conversation and asking questions and figuring out the whys. So that's always really interesting to me. I've always loved her. She's one of my favorites.
Nice. Yeah.
She also has a really cool cookbook called Food to Die For, in case you got it for me. She took like different
That's
recipes
a good name.
from a bunch of different haunted places.
That's a good name for a
I wonder if
cookbook.
it has a boiled egg in it.
I mean, deviled
I'll look
eggs.
at it.
It's got
I'll
to be
look
a
at what breakfast recipes
there's
she
got to be a
has.
there's got to be a deviled egg in there somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Like
I'll go look at her breakfast recipes.
there's got to be something. Like eggs are in a lot of things. There's got to be something in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But
But that was interesting. So Belvoir Winery in and of itself, if anyone listening is in the Kansas City area, definitely go. Or even if you're not like in this direct area when you're around here, go. Like Kev, I'll take you at some point. Also they have wine and charcuterie, so
I mean,
I'll
I'm all
take
for
you.
charcuterie. I'm not a big wine person, but
Yeah. Well, they also have other like drinks and soda and stuff like that too. Popcorn.
nice.
Um, yeah. So that was good. So that's Belvoir Winery. The investigation was good, but that was like my biggest, very interesting um takeaway. And so then Amy talked. One of the other speakers was Juan Mass, who's very, very interesting. So, have you seen any like paranormal shows? Like, have you watched Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, or
I think the
do
only
you watch
ones.
any paranormal or true crime at
No,
all?
not really. I think the only ones I've ever seen is the clips that you've sent me. So, no, not really.
Um, well, another one of the more popular shows is Ghost Brothers. And it's Dalen, Marcus, and Juwan, I think. Um, anyways, they are the first black paranormal investigating team that's been on TV, and they are hilarious. They're so funny, but also very authentic about like what they're going in to do, and they're not like super like performative. Anyways, he was one of the speakers, and it was just fascinating because he was talking about his experiences when they would investigate like old haunted plantations. And there was a lot of really interesting dialogue about how it's very different when, and I'm not getting political or anything. He was talking about like how it's very different when like someone who is like a white male investigator goes into place because again, we are dealing with people who are humans,
Yeah.
at one point. So it's very different when like you and I like go investigate a plantation or something and then when they go they get very different responses and it's so fascinating and it just adds in my mind, like I said, I do not believe everything 100%,
Yeah.
um, but it adds a little bit of validation in my mind that these were humans at one point. They're just talking to us and
Yeah.
expressing things because of the different responses you get.
Well, I mean, that would make sense. I mean, you those people living in those times would have given different responses to you or me versus
Yep,
another
exactly.
another black person. Like that's just
Mhm.
the way that it would have been. Like that's what they
Yeah.
would have been used to. And so it would make sense that if that's what they would have been used to, if that's what they saw, their spirit would do the same thing. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Like and that kind of like you said adds somewhat of a to me a little bit of validity to that a little bit too. Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Because it's not like you're going in and every single person is getting the exact same like creak or response or, light or whatever. It's like different responses towards different people,
yeah,
which does add that layer of like, well, that's really interesting. Um, so yeah, his discussion was also really good. Also, he talked about so on Discovery Channel, I think it was Discovery. Anyways, before COVID, there were a lot of paranormal shows. And basically, all of them got cut except for Ghost Adventures, which is Zach Bagans' like the most popular
mm-hmm.
one, which is one of the more performative ones, which I have absolutely nothing against them. I love Ghost Adventures because that's what I watched when I was little and got me into paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
But they are very like dramatic and performative, and I
I think
definitely
that's
don't
the
believe
one that you've
everything.
shown me. I think that's the one that I've seen
Yeah.
probably the most of, and yeah, it's a little over the top sometimes, but
Oh, it's a lot over the top,
yeah,
but it's so good. Good TV. I mean, and I've been to the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. Like that's where where we went for our bachelorette trip. And Ashley and Tyler were like, our friends that went with us were like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to go to the Haunted Museum." Um, so it's good. But anyways, that's what got me into it. And so Ghost Adventures is a really popular show. And basically Discovery cut like all shows except for that because they were like bought out. I think they were about to declare bankruptcy or something. So they had to cut everything that was not
yeah.
like super, super profitable.
Discovery
Um,
and HBO and Warner and all those have
yeah,
like
Travel
merged together.
Channel. I
Yeah,
can't remember exactly what it was, but it was that time. So a lot of these shows aren't filming anymore. So that was also just an interesting side discussion about like the television industry and streaming and
mm-hmm.
everything. There is a new streaming platform called Beacon that is specifically paranormal and true crime. And the goal, I think, behind it, at least what they were kind of talking about, was because so many things were lost because of budget cuts and the buyouts and everything on the big platforms, the goal was to kind of make this the new. platform for this stuff. So
That's
they
cool.
have like memberships, like different streaming levels, and the
Yeah.
basic one is just $5 a month, and they said they're never going to raise the basic price. um but anyways, so it was just, that was also like an interesting side discussion of like streaming, big TV. I always say big pharma. Is big TV a
I think
thing?
it's, yeah, probably. Like, there's always a big
uh,
something. I mean, big
yeah.
TV, big, I don't know, big, I don't know what it would be because it's not. Pharma's the big one that you hear because it's like a thing.
Yeah.
There's like big different things in TV. Like you got cable, satellite, whatever.
It'd
So
be
I don't
like
know.
Disney is like the 600-pound gorilla or whatever it's called. Like I'm sure there's lots of different things, like people controlling different parts of the market and
Yeah,
everything. But um
Disney and
sorry, not to trash
Disney and
Disney in front of you, Kev.
no, I mean Disney is a massive television entity. Like Disney and
Yeah, it's
com
definitely not just a mouse.
no. Disney is a
Yeah.
huge media corporation. I understand this very much, and it's very much taken a lot of my money and a lot of people's money. I get this. So his Comcast, which owns NBC Universal, um,
Hmm.
and Amazon is getting more and more into that by buying
Yeah.
whatever they keep buying and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's just what it is.
That's another one I can't, like, as much as I love shopping local and boutiques and stuff, Amazon also has its claws in me. Oh my God.
It's what
Anyways,
it's what
um,
can't
I know.
can't find this
I
stuff
also ordered
anywhere.
Icelandic water yesterday.
I can't find this stuff anywhere in a store,
I
but I can get it
know.
on Amazon. So
Yep. And it's the best water, hands
yeah,
down.
it is. It is my favorite water.
Yeah. Um, anyway, so that was like a very fascinating speaker too. And also he's just really funny. And then so Adam Berry, he was part of the investigation. He didn't give like a presentation. He had a separate workshop I didn't get to go to because we had to go home. But he has a book out and it's called Goodbye Hello, and it's about like the psychological side of things and grief and how the paranormal and the spirit world ties into all this.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting. So I bought the book. I haven't started reading it yet. I did look through the like workbook pages of it, but it's very much about like processing different things, how
Yeah.
it's like therapy and paranormal together from what I've read. That's probably a horrible description of the book. I'm so sorry. But it looks very interesting. And I think that, and then I started thinking about um like I've been to therapy. I'm in therapy. Like I love therapy. I think it genuinely helps me understand myself, my place in the world, why I do things I do, things I need to improve. Like I love it. And then tying that in with the paranormal and grief, because I've lost people really close to me, as have we all, and that is hard to go through. And it's hard to process. And so I think it adds an extra layer of, if you feel like that grief is no longer like all consuming, but it's like walking next to you like through your lifetime, it's easier to deal with. Um, and it reminded me of after my aunt passed away, my Aunt Amy. She passed away when I was in high school. And then I went to college, and also we lived in a haunted house in college because everything in Kirksville is old as shit and haunted. Um, sorry, should bleep that out, but it's true. um, but so I remember sitting in the living room of this house, and I was just doing homework. I was like transcribing notes and studying, doing something in the living room with all my like notebooks spread around me. And I was the only one home at this time. And one of my roommates, actually two of my roommates, they had a bunch of plants. So we had like the living room was full of potted plants and things. Um, and all of a sudden I heard like a tinging off like all these different pots. And I was looking around like, what the heck? Because it was going from like all around the room, like bells.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden I just felt like this like like warm, like not hot, but like I got like warm, almost like when you wrap yourself in a blanket. And I don't know why, but all of a sudden I was just in my head, I was like, Aunt Amy. And I have no idea why. I
Hmm.
was just studying, sitting there, and I heard these pots making these noises. And but then so anyways, Adam Berry's book and the workbook side of it and the psychology side of it and processing grief. I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting. I want to read that before I read any of the books I got. But this leads me to a question for you. So we have very different emotions, you and I. I have a lot of emotions and you have like three.
Yep, pretty much.
And we process things differently.
Hmm.
So when you think about like grief and losing loved ones, I guess how do you process that? Or like, would you ever not like, I don't know how to ask this, like reach out or anything, but do you believe that, some people stay with you or I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to ask? Hopefully you understand me, my brain.
Do I believe like your family members like kind of still try to contact you from beyond or try to reach out to you from beyond? Is what you're saying? Is that kind of what you're
Yeah.
asking?
Or like, would knowing that like help you process things? Because we process things very differently.
Yeah. Um, I don't. I don't think so
Mhm.
because that's not
I
really
feel like you're
how.
very logical.
Yeah. Um, my dad makes fun of me for that all the time. Um, so that's not really how I think about things,
Hmm.
and I just don't like. I mean, everybody gets sad and things,
Yeah.
when
Oh, of course.
things happen or whatever. But it's we've even talked about like when my grandparents, which both my grandparents on my mom's side are have both passed, but both my
Hmm.
grandparents on my dad's side are still alive currently. But
Hmm.
when they both die, we've already set up their services and things. We're not having funerals.
Hmm.
The funeral home will come and get them, and they will be taken to be buried, and that's it. We're not doing any
Hmm.
services or anything because that's not how we grieve. That's not how we have done
Yeah.
anything. We don't really believe in that kind of stuff. That's not what we do.
Hmm.
We know where they're going to be buried. We
Hmm.
can go visit them if we want to, but we don't
Yeah.
do like a public display. That's not how we do things.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. Like I don't that's not really no, I don't think so. That's
Yeah.
not really how I think about
The
things.
only reason I ask is because I was flipping through this workbook and I was like, oh my God, if Kevin looked at this, it'd be like, no, no, no. Just knowing you.
I mean, here's the
So I
thing.
just thought it was funny.
I can't imagine your husband's much different than that either.
Oh God,
Like,
no. He was like carrying this stack of books that I bought, and he's like, I would never look at one page of any of these.
I'd probably look at the pages, but I would, yes, be like, nope, nope.
Yeah. No, he's a good sport. He listened to everything. He did find a couple of them interesting. The serial killer ones he found interesting, and
Yeah.
there was one. So this was the next one I was going to talk about. Jeff Belanger talked about like some different legends, different like creatures and things.
Okay.
But also Jeff Belanger, who is so he's like author, he does a bunch of different things, but he's also the lead researcher for Ghost Adventures. So he's the one that when they go to a location finds like the history of it and everything for the show.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that that is my dream job.
Is to
I
research
want
haunted
to do
locations.
that and I want to be there and I want to be doing that.
So you want to be the lead researcher for haunted locations. Okay. Or
Yeah,
a researcher for
100%.
haunted locations. Okay.
because it combines like my two hobbies, history and
Ghosts.
paranormal
Yeah.
and weird things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
I mean,
realized that.
you can apply, I guess. I'm
Well, I don't know. Considering Ghost Adventures is like one of the only shows left, and he's already doing that and has been doing it since it started, I think they've got it covered. They don't need me.
I mean that, you know.
But
I'm sure there's more.
if any of the shows need a finance person,
I'm sure there's more people behind the scenes than just him doing that. Like, you
yeah.
know, I'm sure there's more than just him. There's
Yeah.
always more
I mean,
people.
he does do a lot of it because he kind of talks about his process and everything, and it's fascinating. But
Okay,
I
well
guess
maybe it
if
is just
anyone
him.
needs a finance person, let me know. I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I have a career. No, I can't. Anyways, I just realized that that's my dream job, and that's what I want to do.
Okay.
I will never do it, but it just that would be so so cool. And like, what better than to spend your days going into rabbit holes and research? Like, that's what I want to do. That's amazing.
That would be fun.
Anyways, I know we've talked about this before, but what was your dream job besides, like, a lot of people say like not having a job, which is great. I get it. But like, what is your dream job?
I don't really know that I ever had like a specific dream job.
I feel like we've talked about this, but I maybe you said that or I just don't remember what you said. Because like what I said before was archaeologist or historian of some sort, which this is basically the same thing, just also paranormal.
Yeah. I don't know that I
Have
ever.
you've never thought about it? Like if you won the lottery and I know you don't have to work, but if you wanted to work and money was not an object, there's nothing you would want to do.
Um, I don't know if there is like I don't know if there's anything in particular that I would want to.
Hmm.
Not no, not necessarily. Like I can't think of anything that I would want to do like that's like a career, like
Hmm.
like a archaeologist history, something like that. Like I think there'd be things that would be cool to do like that, but there's not like
Yeah.
a job that I can think of. I mean, you know,
Kev's like, I'm on a beach. I don't care about nothing.
no, I mean I think I'd still do things because
Like hobbies.
I'd get bored. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I would get bored eventually of not doing stuff. But
Oh, I feel like you would be like a something with Disney where you can travel to all the different Disneys in the world, help other people, maybe plan things or like research things, but like not for just for funsies, not for like
yeah,
money or a set schedule.
yeah, that'd probably be fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. I see, but like when I was younger, that wasn't ever like I don't know that I
Yeah.
was really a Disney. I don't know that I was as much of a Disney kid as I am a Disney adult, truthfully.
Yeah.
Like I I don't I don't yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that would be fun.
I can't think of anything else because, like, I know you have other hobbies like trains and you have a bunch of hobbies, but that would be,
Being
yeah,
like a travel advisor for
like a world traveler, travel planner, but only because you want to do it, not because you
yeah.
have to. Hmm. Yeah. Anyways, just thought of that and I was like, well, that's my dream job, and the one job in the world is taken, so that sucks, but
I mean, hey, they've got that whole new streaming service, so maybe some of them
I
need
know.
one. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got a whole service now, so there's going to
I'm
be
gonna
more
I'm gonna
people.
email every single person in the United States that has anything to do with the
Exactly.
paranormal. No. I have way too much work to do already. I already work too much. Um, anyways, the last and side note, I also I do enjoy my job. I would just like to clarify that in case my boss is listening. I genuinely do enjoy my job. It's just that this is like, wow, I would die to do that. Not die because then I'd be a ghost and then I'd someone else would be researching me. But anyways, okay. The last thing I
She'd
wanted
probably
to
like that
talk
too,
about from
but you know,
Paracon.
then she'd be part of this whole thing. So it all goes together, really. But
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into like the randomness was one of my favorite presentations from Paracon. I want to end on this because it's a little bit more of a story. So, have you ever heard of Fox Hollow Farm?
the name sounds familiar.
Okay, there's a new documentary on Hulu, so you might have seen it in the news, like as you're reading through things recently. But Herb Baumeister, so he was a serial killer. He ended up um, taking his own life. So he was never officially confirmed, but like it's basically confirmed. Um, he was a serial killer outside of Indianapolis. So he was 90% sure the I-70 strangler.
Okay.
And then, so there were multiple, at least 11, and then I think some others were connected to young men and grown men who were killed along I-70. Um, so he met all his victims in gay bars in Indiana and then along I-70. Eventually he settled down and him and his wife and kids lived at Fox Hollow Farm. So it's a big property. It has the main house, stables, like they were very well to do, at least for a time. He owned a chain of Save-A-Lots, I think they were called. It was basically like secondhand stores. So we owned a
Okay.
chain of those. Um, when his family moved to this farm, it was a couple years, and then his son actually found a skull in the woods and brought it up to the house, like to his mom, to
Mm-hmm.
her Baumeister's wife, and a lot of stuff happened. But long story short, the police were eventually called out there. He actually ran away to Canada, took his own life. His wife eventually gave into a search warrant, like let the police search the property. They found 10,000 bone fragments in the woods. He had like uh grinded up the bones of these men, burned them, like mulched them, spread them in the river, like spread them over the entire 18 acres, like massive
Dang.
property. The reason he was able to, this is like the most bodies found on one property in one area since 9/11. Like that's how many um men he's reported to have killed and found. And the reason it went unknown for so long is because at this was in the 80s in Indianapolis, and so the red state conservative, like the gay bars were few and far between,
Yeah.
and the people who were there were very quiet
Yeah.
about a lot of things.
So you didn't.
Um,
If they went
so
missing,
when
it
they were
was.
reported missing,
It was.
the local police precincts didn't pay a lot of attention to it as much as they do now, which is why there was a new documentary because they've reopened the cases and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is
anyway, so
unfortunate.
that's
But
why it went on for so long.
yeah.
So but it's so there's been new evidence. The case was reopened, so that's why they were presenting on this at Paracon,
Okay.
as part of like the true crime stuff, is because there's a new documentary on Hulu, and part of it references a book called The Horrors of Fox Hollow Farm, written by Richard Estep, and he was one of the presenters. So he
Oh.
presented
Right.
like some never before seen like behind the scenes video, because when he was researching for his book, he actually went out to the property, interviewed one of the victims that is said to have gotten away,
Okay.
um, and was like walking him around. And this guy is either like super traumatized, which of course, or was an accomplice. So that's also what the documentary focuses on, is was this guy truly a victim or was he an accomplice? Because he was reported to have been there many more times than just one time. at this house.
Hmm.
So it's just like fascinating. And so Richard has video of he was doing research for his book. So we went out to the property, was interviewing this guy, and this guy is like, just picture in your mind this guy running away, but then he's caught, and just like super creepy, and saying things that like you would only know if you were there for more than like the span of a couple hours one
Yeah.
time late at night after going out and then coming home with someone. So,
Yeah.
anyways, the documentary is Secrets of Fox Hollow Farm, I believe, on Hulu. We watched it. It was awesome. And then the book is The Horrors of Fox Hollow Farm.
Okay.
And it's wild.
Hmm.
So, yeah, they recently reopened it and it's just so interesting to see also the legal or not legal like the process of like reopening cases, gathering new evidence
The
even now and
investigation.
like doing new interviews
Yeah.
like so much later.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, it was so good. The documentary is worth it to watch.
Okay.
And then he ended on a really like positive note by remembering the victims and like honoring them, which I think is so important because we talk about all these really dark things like paranormal and true crime does get really dark. I mean, this episode's gotten a little dark of our podcast here as we're talking. And so I think honoring the victims and their lives and what they did and their families, it was really cool. I was like ending on that
Nice.
versus the other stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about how our podcast gets very dark sometimes. So
Yeah. I also is very light and stupid at points. Like my fun fact today is just absolute brain rot. So, but you said you had something else. I think I'm done with my Paracon stuff. It was just awesome.
we'll let you do your fun fact.
Okay. So, backstory. I saw a meme the other day, and it was a bottle of A1 steak sauce. Which I love A1 steak sauce. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, it wasn't really a meme. It was just like a picture of A1 and it said created during the Civil War. And then like it was like a picture of like a Reddit commenter and something was like, we literally had nothing else going on during the Civil War. Like people created A1, like that's what they were doing. And I was like, what? I don't remember that being created during the Civil War. So I went and looked it up. And sure enough, it's not true. It was not created during the Civil War. So I spent like half an hour reading about the history of A1 steak sauce. So
Of course you did.
it was invented in 1824.
So early
So
within the Civil War.
not during the Civil War,
Before the
yeah.
Civil War.
In the UK. So it was invented by the chef to King George IV. It was influenced by like a chutney sauce from India. And so then he made his own sauce for King George. Eventually, it made its way over here. It went into commercial production in 1831. So they had like rebranded, sold out, had like company mergers and things, and it became known as A1 in 1873. So, like, where this post that I saw the other day got the Civil War, I don't know if they were just trying to be funny, but it wasn't actually made during the Civil War. It was invented in 1824, commercialized in the United States in 1831. So,
Interesting.
anyways, that's the history of A1 steak sauce and the shortened 1 minute version instead of the 30-minute version.
Yeah. Interesting. The fun fact that I found also has nothing to do with paranormal stuff, but it was that 4 times more people speak English as a second language than as a native one.
Huh. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just never really thought about it.
No, because English is only really spoken, I guess, natively is in really two countries, the U.S. and England.
Yeah.
And then everywhere else is, but it is the most common language in the world. Like,
Yeah. Because even like Canada, they have a lot of French speakers. I wonder, like, countries like Canada that have maybe multiple languages, what's primary? I don't know. That's interesting, though. Makes sense.
yeah,
We just like to think a lot of ourselves and think that everyone speaks English.
we do. Yep. But anyway, that's my fun fact, which is really short. But
That's
anyway,
interesting.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have the question, or would you rather have the I guess it's a shout out or a memoriam, whatever.
Memory.
Memoriam.
Is it sad? Let's do the sad thing first and then end on a positive, or
Okay. Well, the
is it
sad
not
thing I'm
sad?
surprised we haven't gotten to yet, because I'm surprised you haven't brought it up yet.
Oh.
Yeah. This week,
Mhm.
Dolly Parton announced that her
Yeah.
husband of almost 60 years,
Mhm.
Carl Dean, passed away,
Yeah, I did see that.
unfortunately.
I
So,
know multiple people reach out to me,
hmm
and this is one of those things. Yes, of course it's sad. But they had such a beautiful life.
yeah,
And she always spoke so highly of their marriage and everything. So I think that at least there's that, like,
yeah,
you have such a good lifetime to remember.
yeah,
But of course, it's sad when anyone leaves this world.
yeah. But,
But 60 years, that, I mean, I can only aspire for our marriage to be like that amazing. That it's beautiful. And she always spoke so highly of him. And for him to, it's a very unique marriage, of course, because he was never in the spotlight, never attended
no,
anything, didn't want to attend anything, but was always so supportive of anything she wanted to do or anything she did. Like she is one of the biggest people on the planet, and he was always supportive of that. So it's a very unique and admirable marriage, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
she had.
anyway, so Dolly, we're thinking of you if you're watching, which we know you're not, but we're
So I
thinking
already
of you.
had heart palpitations that one time when you said, like, when we did the episode on Dolly. And then you said, Dolly, if you're listening, sorry. I was like, I really hope she never listens to anything we say because we are like so bad at this. Like, so bad at this. So,
We are
yeah.
insufficient. I need to put that on a T-shirt. We are insufficient. That needs to be on bumper
Yeah, we need
stickers.
t-shirts.
Needs to be on bumper stickers. That needs to be on magnets. That needs to be on
We just
T-shirts.
need a insufficient in like big bold
Big
letters.
bold letters.
So anyone that goes to, I guess like Spotify and everything, you won't see it, but anyone who goes to our YouTube and is like, what are these wackos talking about? We'll be like, listen, look at our t-shirts. It's massive lettering. We are so bad at this.
Okay, but anyway, back to the random thing that I saw this morning.
Yeah.
So this morning, and this I see these pop up on a pretty regular basis because
Mhm.
it's just interesting. But every once in a while, you have all the time there's random memorabilia auctions or whatever that happen around the world.
Oh, mhm.
Whatever, just crap being sold because they want to sell stuff. And
Yeah.
it's always the really dumb expensive stuff that catches people's attention, or especially catches my attention. So coming
Mhm.
up this spring, the rookie jerseys for Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan are going up for auction.
Oh.
They're expected to, or they, Sotheby's, who is the auction house that is auctioning them off,
Mhm.
says that they could sell for $10 million a piece.
Wow.
I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
A lot of things like that are
So
ridiculous.
to people in the world, to some people in the world, that's play money.
Yes.
To me, that will be probably my entire lifetime
Yes.
of income.
Yeah.
Not even close to that, maybe. What is it? It's like 3 to 5 million is like the average person's
Probably like
like
the average person. Yeah.
human value or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
yeah.
the question is, my question to you
Hmm.
is there, if you had money like that, what is something that you would be willing to pay that much for? What is a piece of
One
memorabilia?
of Dolly Parton's jumpsuits, like a
Okay.
really sparkly jumpsuit and
Okay.
boots, because I would love that.
Okay.
Maybe a wig too. One of Harry Styles' sparkly jumpsuits.
Okay.
I really like jumpsuits. I think I would pay any amount of money for a good jumpsuit.
Okay.
Um, And then probably something, you know how you have like the Titanic coal, like some
Yeah, but that was cheap.
historical event. Like if I saw anything historical that popped up on an auction that I was interested in, like if it had to do with the Jacobite Revolution in Scotland, I would immediately buy it. So I guess just other random like historical things.
Okay, but we're talking again. We're talking $10 million. Like we're not talking like
Yeah.
$20. We're not talking $50. We're not talking even $100 thousand
I
dollars. We're talking $10 million.
yeah. And it's just like memorabilia type stuff.
I'm whatever you want to say it is, but I'm talking $10 million. Like that's
If we're
a
talking like memorabilia and famous things, yeah, Dolly and Harry. If we're talking about like anything, I'd buy a lot of land and a lot of dogs.
okay.
Yeah.
That works too.
What about you?
Um, it would probably be some type of movie prop. I'm sure. Like I think
Hmm.
it'd be cool to have something from like. I mean, one of my favorite
The
movies is.
Jaws shark.
I mean, that would be cool. One of my favorite movies though is Jurassic Park, so it's probably something from
Oh
Jurassic
yeah.
Park. Like, you know, I don't. I'm trying to think of something that
Oh,
would
a
be
Jeep.
one of the
I
one of the
literally
Jeeps from
would
Jurassic Park
love
would
a
be cool.
Jurassic Park Jeep.
That would be cool. But I feel like you could
Yeah.
just you don't even I mean, I guess you could buy one of the ones from the actual movie, but like you could buy a Jeep and paint it that color and make it pretty much the same thing. Like
Yeah.
um but like something that was screen used in the movie would be cool. Um
Hmm.
I think it'd be cool to have like um one of my favorite, and I know this is a random thing, but uh two props that I think are really cool from that movie are the Barbasol can,
Mm-hmm.
and I like John Hammond's cane, with the mosquito at the
Mm.
end of it. So those are two cool things. But I don't know if I'd pay $10 million for them. That's the thing. It's like $10 million is a lot of fucking
Yeah.
money. Like
Well, because there's like different scales of memorabilia and celebrity type
yeah,
things. And if you were like, if you told me like Jeff Goldblum drove this Jeep every day on set, I'd be like, 10 million, here you go. But if it was just like a Jeep from the set, but no one actually drove it or was just like in the background or something, I don't like, there's different tiers, I think.
yeah. Oh well, yeah, for sure. Like I mean, these are the rookie jerseys of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Mhm.
Like, yes, if
Yeah.
you just pulled two random guys out of the end, yeah, if you just pulled a random jersey from somewhere in their career, it's probably not going to be as big of a deal as their rookie jerseys. But
Hmm.
it's still 10 million flipping dollars. Like, you know,
Yeah, that's a
like
lot.
there was one thing actually that I did see it's been a couple months ago, I think now, that I thought was really cool that wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be.
Hmm.
Um it was a medallion um from it was a piece of mold, I believe, if I remember correctly, from the original um, penicillin, like what was originally used to make the
Oh, that's
make penicillin.
interesting.
There's only like five of them that were ever created. One was given to the queen, one was given to the president. There's like a few of them, but when the scientist, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but when he created it, he made these little medallions that had them, and they were one of them was going up for auction, and I think it was only expected to go for like $50,000, which was not nearly
Yeah.
as much money as I thought it would go for. But that is something like that I think would be
Yeah.
cool to have. And I was like, if I had
Well,
like
because
50
also,
grand,
like, these things are not valued on any
no,
logical scale.
it's
It
what
the
somebody
value is
thinks it's
whatever
worth.
someone
Is
willing to give for it.
yeah,
It's like when I tell people that want to buy gold in their portfolio, I'm like, okay, we can have it as part of the portfolio, but you can't put like all your money in gold bars because if the apocalypse happens, it's not going to be as good as you think because you can't sell that to your neighbor. But it's like the same idea. Like those things are only as good as what someone who's really fascinated with it is going to be willing to,
yeah,
pay for it.
it's only yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
So if like a scientist wants it, there probably aren't many scientists in the world that are billionaires, multimillionaires that can shell out for that, but someone who is well to do and is very interested would buy it. But
yeah,
it's not going to go for 10 million.
exactly. So
yeah.
Anyway,
That's interesting.
I think
I still would like Jeff Goldblum's Jeep.
Jeff Goldblum's Jeep. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's. I like Jeff Goldblum a lot.
Or maybe the entirety of Dollywood.
I don't think you're getting that for $10 million.
I don't think so either.
Just saying.
I want to buy all of Tennessee.
Now that for $10 million, that might be able to be arranged. You can't get Dollywood. You can get the rest of Tennessee, but not Dollywood. That's
everything
cut
but
out.
that.
Everything but Dollywood. Yeah. So the rest of Tennessee you can have, but not Dollywood. Anyway, I think that's it for this week. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you liked this. If you didn't, just leave it alone, I guess. I don't really know. Anyway, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.